I think it's time to fund a study. I'm not going to do it. I don't sell it. Boom! Boom! What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com. Whoa, let's talk about Turkesterone. So I did the video the other day going over all the available data that I could find. And all of it was rodent and in vitro data, which is all I could find. All I could find across all the databases I can explore, period. Alongside the newer studies done on what appears to be inadequate dosing, 500 milligrams versus up to 3 grams or more, plus a source that was in question. It wasn't from the source in Uzbekistan. So I actually spoke to Greg about it. I got all this data, and it is a lot of data and a lot to digest. But lucky for you guys, I love reading data. And I read all the data, and I actually put a little summary together that I'm going to go over, and we'll talk about the data on Turkesterone. Now, there are two camps for Turkesterone. One is that it completely doesn't work and it's a scam, and the other is that it is literally the greatest invention since the egg white omelet, that it is that damn good. So I'm going to show you the studies. I'm going to show you what I went over, and then I'm going to give you a summary of the studies, where it's promising, where it's lacking, and where we need to further explore. So I'm going to bring up the studies on my screen, and I'm just going to kind of show you them, and then I'm just going to talk. I'm going to talk about these studies, and we can discuss it. And you can discuss it in the comments before we get started. I love doing that. I got that from Tim Pool. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, click on that notification bell, and shop at TigerFitness.com. 10% off your entire order. Coupon code MAHA, M-A-H-A, MAHA, through the rest of the week. And let's get started. Here is the first piece of literature we looked at. And I'm going to just scroll through these studies here. So here's the general citations, blah, blah, blah. This translated. It's in a different language. Thank goodness it was translated. Then we'll go to the next study here, which is a report, the effectiveness and tolerability of a biological active food additive, hypoglycin, produced by Biotin LLC, which is found in the extract. We'll go over that in the the summary I give you guys. The next study, let me make sure all this is showing up for you guys. Apparently, I'm not as bad at doing this as I used to be. I can actually rock and roll with this. The next one is going to be this study, clinical study of effectiveness, tolerability of biologically active food supplement Ectoton, produced by Biotin, and this is in Uzbekistan. Here's another one. You can tell I was scrolling through this because of where it starts. I just moved this up. Protocol for a clinical trial of biological active food supplement Ectofurin from the Republic Standardized Scientific and Practical Medical Center of Obstetrics and Gynecology. And we'll go over the data of the population that this data was collected from, which is also something that we need to keep an eye on. And the next one, let me scroll up with this. The next one, you see all these numbers and stuff. Those were fun to read. The next one is the general characteristics dissertation. And you can see this anemia, blah, 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 blah. So you see what we're working with here. You see what I'm cooking with. You see the ingredients. Now let's go ahead and summarize this for the lay person, because this is really, really difficult to digest if you don't know how to read studies and read conclusions and all that good stuff. So I'm going to pull up my notes, and we can kind of get started here in figuring out if Turkesterone is right for you based on the data. Again, we also have to factor in anecdote. Like, people get great results from Greg's product. They just do. I've read it. Some people say it did nothing, but a lot of people say it does something. And that's any supplement ever created. People say creatine doesn't work, yet we know based on the data that creatine does work. It just works. Creatine works. So let's get into my summation of it, and let's go into all of the data. First round of data. Hypoglycin, which is an extract part of this. This was done on patients with type 2 diabetes mellitus And the purpose was to evaluate the hypoglycemic activity and tolerability of hypoglycin, which contains the Ajunga turkestanica extract. Findings in the first study, 10 patients for 20 days. Fasting glycemia reduced by 23.13% and postprandial glycemia by 10.17. A second study, 15 patients, 10 days, a modified dosage reduced fasting glycemia by 13.45% and postprandial glycemia at 22.23%. Patients experienced subjective improvements, reduced dry mouth, weakness, no significant side effects or abnormal change in lab parameters, AST, ALT, all that good stuff, meaning it would probably be self-assured GRAS status, generally recognized as safe is what that means. So the conclusion on this is hypoglycin effectively lowers glycemic levels and improves overall well-being when used alongside anti-diabetic drugs. So in one of the sets of data, these patients were also on anti-diabetic drugs. We have to assume metformin, other things that will help them, work with their diabetes. So you got to look at the population, right? Like, these aren't athletes. So I've yet to see data on athletes. Athletes, it just works differently. And any good researcher will tell you that picking the population for your study, like when I funded my study, I could pull that up later if you guys have time. I'll do that at the very end. Like, I had a similar thing that Greg's having now, and I understand exactly what he's going through. When we first launched Extend in 2004, people were like, branch chains don't work. The only studies we had were some obscure studies on wrestlers. That's when I funded that study in 2009 through the Weider Research Group in the College of Charleston. And we were able to get a good collaborative study showing those results, and that was published. Ectoton for type 2 diabetes mellitus. Again, Ajunga turkestanica extract and succinic acid for improving physical and mental vitality in diabetes patients. The quality of life, which was done via questionnaire, which, take it or leave it, it's all right. Improved significantly after 30 days, particularly in physically, emotional, and vital activity. In this, no major changes in glycemic control or other metabolic markers were detected. It was well tolerated with no side effects. So it enhanced the quality of life and vitality in type 2 diabetes patients without adverse side effects. Ectoferrin for iron deficiency. Now this moves on from diabetes patients to actual anemics. So we went from diabetics to anemics. Again, they're the studies we have. I'm going by what I have, and I'm trying my best to give you just the data and not interjecting any opinion. That's for you to decide. So evaluating the ectoferrin, the Ajunga turkestanica extract plus iron sulfate for anemia treatment findings. Hemoglobin levels increased by 21.5%. Serum iron rose by 47.6% after 20 days. Quality of life improved. Coagulation markers stabilized, reducing hemorrhagic risks. No side effects reported. So it corrected iron deficiency and improved hematological and clinical outcomes in patients with mild anemia. So looking across these studies, and we'll jump into identifying the groups more in a little bit. All three supplements, Ajunga turkestanica, showed promising effects: glycemic controlled, vitality, erythropoiesis, and protein synthesis. No adverse side effects at all. So if you're worried about side effects, don't worry about it. Because some people were like, I got some comments on my last video. Someone's like, I took it and my blood pressure did this or this and that. And that's placebo. You're taking something, you think it's doing something. Could be other lifestyle things in there. Granted, these are small populations, small study groups for the most part, but I'd say you're probably just thinking yourself into that, or there's other lifestyle implications that are causing that. So these supplements can complement standard therapies for diabetes and anemia, offering additional benefits in quality of life and biochemical outcomes. So in diabetics, alongside standard diabetic treatment, it can definitely help. It can help. So as far as muscle gain, let's see if it would actually, it does point that it might help muscle gain. Okay, in both animal and clinical trials, Ajunga turkestanica extract demonstrated a stimulatory effect on protein metabolism, improving protein structures like hemoglobin and components of iron kinetics. And studies on animals showed increased body weight, muscle mass, their tibialis anterior was measured, and protein content in muscle tissues. That suggests a direct anabolic action. Your pre-workout is not doing its job. Let me explain. Most pre-workouts just have one form of caffeine, which spikes you and drops you. What you want is two forms of caffeine, one to get you up and one to keep you up. And that's what we do with MTS Nutrition Ruckus. We have VitaSure and caffeine anhydrous, which makes sure that you get that immediate burst of energy that carries you throughout your workout. Also, the pump ingredients are just trash. What we use is something called NO3T betaine nitrate. Betaine is known for strength and power, and it goes and it combines with that nitrate to provide the pump you've been wanting. MTS Nutrition Ruckus is available now at tigerfitness.com. Again, a lot of those are rodent studies, so take it for what it's worth. I think that's very, very promising, which is why I want more human data. The supplements like hypoglycin improve fasting and postprandial glycemia in type 2 diabetics. Better glycemic control can enhance energy utilization during exercise. Think about the purported effects of injectable carnitine. I'm thinking about that. Improve recovery by reducing oxidative stress linked to blood sugar fluctuations, and optimize insulin response, which plays a key role in nutrient partitioning. In the Ectoton studies, you have improved quality, improve vitality, and overall well-being. Increase energy, physical performance. That could happen. The impact on iron levels and red blood cell production, which is erythropoiesis, would enhance oxygen delivery to muscles. Now, enhanced recovery, right? If you have increased red blood cell production and oxygen carrying capacity, it can boost workout recovery. So the correction of protein metabolism disturbances in iron deficiency patients who had anemia implies that the Turkesterone may aid in muscle repair and growth by improving the availability of protein necessary for recovery. So based on this, here's things that can happen. The Turkesterone can potentially support muscle protein synthesis and hypertrophy, improve glycemic and energy regulation, better nutrient utilization, increase red blood cell production. That's another possibility based on the data we currently have on rodents and small groups of diabetics and anemics, and overall vitality and performance. So looking at that, let's go down to further talk about the groups. So the subject in these studies were primarily with specific health conditions, type 2 diabetes or mild anemia, and animal models. So based on the study populations, one of the study, the 2014 study, had 10 patients with type 2 diabetes. The 2015 studies had 15 patients with type 2 diabetes, 42 to 65 years old, both men and women, and the duration of diabetes was 1 to 8 years. In the Ectoton study, 10 patients had moderate type 2 diabetes, age 44 to 61, 5 men, 5 women, and they had diabetes for 3 to 15 years. And they were undergoing regular diabetes treatments. In the other study, 20 women of reproductive age, 24 to 33 years old, average age was 28, mild anemia associated with intrauterine device use. Sounds fun. And so this is a female study, and they exhibited symptoms of mild anemia, and they had fatigue, shortness of breath, and weakness, anemic shit. The other experimental studies had animal models, 102 rats, and experimentally induced iron deficiency anemia. So they induced the anemia in these rats. They weren't like naturally anemic. The female rats were aged 30 to 40 days and weighed 40 to 50 grams. In all of these, the key thing to observe is the studies primarily focused on patients with moderate type 2 diabetes or mild anemia rather than healthy individuals or athletes. The animal studies, the experimental research used rats to investigate the anabolic effects of Turkesterone extract, particularly in protein metabolism and hypoglycemia. So let's get back. Let's put my big, beautiful face on this screen and talk about this some more. It's promising. You know, the reason we do in vitro studies, the reason we do rodent studies is to determine if there is a reason to do human studies. And I would say we're at that point where we have the rodent data, we have the in vitro data, that a study needs to be funded. It just needs to be funded, or else people will keep questioning this. Look, I believe in my heart of hearts that Greg is doing what he's doing, not just for financial gain, but he truly believes that this is an amazing supplement. And I'll see if I could pull it up. You know, they did this study, right? They did these studies, and they want to obviously get this out there so people take it. People are getting great results on it. I'm going to try and find my study, and I want to kind of go over, you know, let me see, BCAA study 2010, College of Charleston. That's 2016. I should have had it pulled up. I just thought about showing it during this event. Weeder research. I have it linked on one of my YouTubes. Oh, let's see. Is this it? No, that's recovery. Yeah, that's not it. Yeah, I'll look for it, man. I mean, let me try one more time. Let me try 10. I have it here. I have it on this video right here if I can find it. Yep, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Found it. Hopefully you guys are still here after me doing all this BS and not being. I was so prepared with the Turkesterone stuff that I completely screwed the pooch on this one, man. So here we go. So studies cost a lot. I'm not going to lie. Like, they're going to cost you upwards of $300,000. Like, studies are not cheap. And that's why a lot of brands don't do studies. And then when you do the study, people are like, oh, you funded it. It's a lie. And I got literally 2 groups to do this study. So they're not even talking to each other. I tried to make this study hater proof. People didn't care. They were still hating. So I understand the apprehension to do studies. Now, just in full transparency, if you do use that coupon at tigerfitness.com, we sell both Ambrosia Hydroglyph and Machine Fuel from MTS Nutrition. 10% off, coupon code MAHA, which has the amino acids referenced in this study. This original study was done through my old brand that I owned before 2011, Scivation Extend, which is currently owned by Cellucor. If you do choose to buy that, buy it from tigerfitness.com. But I've since left the company. I can no longer vouch for that company. Not that there's anything wrong with that company, but let me just say that it's not mine. So this is 2009. Consuming a supplement containing branched-chain amino acids during a resistance training program increases lean mass, muscle strength, and fat loss. Jim Stepani, Timothy Sheet, James Pena, Chuck Rudolph, and Derek Charleboy are referenced in this. Dr. Timothy Sheet was the lead over at the College of Charleston, and Jim Stepani was at the Weeder Research Group. You guys recognize that name? Jim Stepani, we go way back, dude. But this was, I didn't know anything. 36 strength trained males with a minimum of 2 years resistance training experience. So that's the thing. Like, when you're doing a study, you pick the groups. So we wanted 3 groups of 12. Okay, I'm going to just surmise the study because there's a lot of numbers here. I'm going to give you the simple. And yes, we funded that study. See, that's me right there. That's Marc Lobliner. It's my study. Okay, so essentially, here's what happened in that study. We wanted to have trained athletes with a year of training, right? So 2 years. It's been a while. 2 years resistance training. And so the groups were 14 grams of BCAA, 28 grams of whey protein, or 28 grams of carbohydrate from Gatorade, 8 weeks resistance training. They followed a periodized whole body training program. They hit everything, 4-day training split. But and they also had a controlled diet. We provided the diet and the training. Did they fall to 100%? No, but there were 3 groups, so you'd have to totally screw the pooch there. Their body weight, body composition, and 10 rep max on the bench press and squat were determined before and after the 8-week training program, and they followed a standardized diet. The results were the placebo group, which was Gatorade, gained 1 pound of lean mass, lost 0 pounds of fat. Again, there's a great diet and training program. So they did well. The whey protein group gained 4 pounds of lean mass, lost 2 pounds of fat. The branch chain group gained 9 pounds of lean mass, lost 4.5 pounds of fat. Again, and then people were like, those results are wrong because that's not possible. I'm like, I don't fucking know. It was double blind. I wasn't even involved in it. Jim and I used to talk all the time back then. Stepani, we didn't talk during the duration of the study just to make sure there was no funny business. And it's double blind. So I understand the apprehension to do studies. You could do it perfectly and haters still going to hate. But, you know, the thing is, you have an obligation if you're coming out with a new category, which we did with the intra-workout category. You have an obligation to prove that your shit works. I think it's time to fund a study. I'm not going to do it. I don't sell it. I don't have 300. Even if I had it, I'm not going to throw 300 grand at that when I could throw 300 grand at something much better. Like I'm not going to study it. I'm not going to fund a Turkesterone study. I have no fucking skin in the game. But I do think we need human data. I do. In vitro is great. Rats, great. This shit we have on diabetics and anemics are great. I think the anecdote is phenomenal. People love this shit. But I would like to see data. I just want to see human data. I want to see a human trial really bad. Because if this works, man, that's awesome. We just found out something that naturally, based on the data we have, without any side effects, any negatives, can make people gain lean mass and be healthier, control their glycemic control, all this good stuff. Let's do it. Anyway, that's all I got. Again, like this video, subscribe to this channel, click on notification bell, go to tigerfitness.com. That's tigerfitness.com. Save 10% with coupon code MAHA, M-A-H-A, MAHA. Greatly appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And again, if you need anything, I'm really easy to reach. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Marc Lobliner, and that's not a game. Let's talk about pre-workouts. See, a lot of them just get you spiked and then you crash. The crash is crazy. When I take a pre-workout, I don't want my heart beating out of my chest. I can't do a set to failure with that. No, I want something that gets me focused. I want my mind to just go, I'm going to get all the weight. I want my body to feel like I can go crush it, make the gains of my life. That's why the pre-workout I use is Ambrosia Kinetic. Ambrosia Kinetic is the greatest mushroom-enhanced mind and body performance booster pre-workout ever created. Go to tigerfitness.com now. That's tigerfitness.com. Coupon code MAHA, M-A-H-A, MAHA. M-A-H-A, Make America Healthy Again. And you get 10% off, not just Kinetic, but the entire site. Go to tigerfitness.com now, save and make the gains you've been wanting.